Hi, I am working my way through a list of YouTube videos that people say are going to make me upset or that they wanted me to talk about, comment on, or whatever. This one is looks like a luthier's channel, and they're talking about scalloped guitars. So I'm not a guitar expert, but I think a lot of you guys know that I do play scalloped guitars and I scallop my own guitars. So I'm always interested when somebody's got something to show like how to do it better, because in the old days I did with files and it was such a pain, and now I use that Dremel contour sander. It's really cool, so hopefully I'm going to see something from a real luthier on how he does it. So that sounds cool. So let's see what we got here. And yeah, sorry the very loud band in the background, but that's just that's the nature of the music business. You take what you can get when you can get it. So here we go.
Crimson Guitars. This is a podcast I do. This brush caught on me and wanted to fall off the bench. Okay, I do this basically 5 days a week unless we've got a proper tutorial video going live.
So yeah, sorry. So this is Scalloped Fretboards, the pros and cons and how to do it, podcast 92, and that's from Crimson Custom Guitars.
And yesterday one of those went up. It was a rather interesting Dan Electro Longhorn guitar Lin from 1958. I was never a fan of Dan Electros. Looking at them in a book, they're not that attractive. But for some reason,
Was it
just
scalloped?
the age.
Or maybe, I wonder if this is about other stuff too. But
It's been around for 50 plus years. And that's a very, very interesting thing to me. Anyhow, that guitar came in, it had an incredibly high nut, or action at the nut, and that needed to be changed. And the frets had been really majorly tarnished. I don't know how in an attic for 20. Go and check that out if you're interested. Okay. In other news, there is no other news. We're going to get straight on with the podcast. If you have a question, go to the Guild, crimsonguitars.com/guild, and join as a free member and post questions in the forums and link to that question. If you want to support us financially, join the Guild as a premium member. That pays for the editor and wages and stuff to help make 5, 8, 9. We make a lot of videos every week now. Wow. Or you can ask in the comments below this video, and I should get back to you, hopefully, if the question is good enough. Or email through to guild@crimsonguitars.com. Today's question is from Derpington on YouTube. He says, what are the pros and cons of scalloping a fretboard, and how would you do it?
Yes, how would you do it? I love watching professionals do this because, man, like I say, I actually scalloped 2 guitars for George Lynch way back in the day with files, and man, it just didn't turn out as beautiful as I'd like. I didn't have much tools or any money. I just filed them until they were scalloped. And my last one I did with files was my first 7-string. Actually, it was a Rondo Music $180 7-string, and it has one of those $20 or whatever Chinese Floyds on, I guess. But that's still working fine. Everybody says those things are really bad, but this one's actually pretty good. So anyway, that was my last one I filed. Ever since then, it's been using the Dremel contour sander. I've seen pros do it with files, and then they hit it with the regular rotary Dremel and just make it beautiful. Like, I had a guy work on one of my guitars. He took my scallop job and then polished it up. It was beautiful. And he used a Dremel.
Okay, the pros of scalloping your fretboard. A lot of you won't realize that when you play, the balls of your fingers, your fingertips, the balls of your fingers, they have a name, and it is your fingertip. If you have smaller frets or low frets, your fingertips actually touch the fretboard. And this brings in an element of friction to your playing. Now, if you have a really highly polished, close-grained fretboard like an ebony or something like that, you're all good and you probably won't feel it. If you've got wenge, I'm going to continue calling it wenge no matter what I said last week. People get annoyed that I don't call it wenge, but it just feels wrong to me, so meh. Anyhow, which is open pored and coarse, that will you will feel that. So basically, you either want high frets where you can't feel the fretboard, or jumbo, obviously, or you can scallop it, and that means it removes the friction element from the equation. Okay, so what this does, though, is it means that when you are pushing down, you have to be more gentle. Okay,
which you should
when
be
you're
anyway.
Bending a note, for example, you tend to push.
Which you should be anyway. If you're pushing, honestly, if you're pushing hard enough that when you're playing scallops, you're going to go out of tune. Just because that wood's there, you're still probably pushing your string down a little bit too hard right there. You still should be going out of tune. You won't be able to go as far out, maybe, without it scallops, but
in and then up, and you might go out of tune.
no. When you okay, was that all the pros? So to me, the main pro of scalloping, okay, besides not having to fight the wood all the time when you're just moving around the guitar, and being able to do those weird vibratos you'll see some of us do, where we just actually squeeze the guitar because of the scallops. It's mostly bending. You can get your fingers underneath those strings, and you can bend like crazy. It makes 13s feel like 8s, and then I play 8s on top of that. So, and then things like hammer-ons and pull-offs, you can really dig into those frets. Like, I just you got to try it. So I don't know. Maybe he's going to go back over the pros, but I mean, it seems like you're missing a lot of the stuff. And you know, when you're starting to play like really fast stuff, I always notice that the really fast players, scalloped or not, they have a very light touch on their left hand. I think that's true. Maybe you guys have seen other things, but I often see people talking about sweeping and stuff to the point where they're like, your hand should be really relaxed and you're just barely putting any pressure down on those strings at all. And that's something you really pick up when you're playing with scallops. So let's see. So the con is, yeah, you can easily squeeze yourself out of tune. Chances are you were probably playing out of tune already, but now you can squeeze yourself even farther out of tune, so it really sounds bad. Let's see. To me, the big con is you lose your inlay, and while you're doing it, you might nick your fret.
So because you've got less support, and you'll find this if you're used to playing smaller fret instruments and you go to something with jumbo frets, you might find that you put yourself out of tune, or you mess up the intonation a little bit of each note because you're pushing.
Yeah, again, so if you're playing jumbo frets and you're going out of tune, you need to play with a lighter touch.
Playing is less measured because you're used to the fretboard stopping your fingers. Okay. Now, what you can do is have a partial scallop. So it scallops from where you're going to do the major soloing and you want to speed up because you don't want the friction underneath you. But where you're playing chordal work up at the top, you have a fretboard as per usual, and it makes no difference. So it is an interesting...
just to be sure, I scallop the whole guitar. But yeah, I see a lot of people doing the partial ones. There's nothing... So, it's up to you.
From a player's point of view, it is interesting. And there are people like Malmsteen, for example, who absolutely swear by it. And if you have a junk shop guitar or something you don't mind experimenting with, it's well worth having a play and see what you think. As long as you are aware that you will probably have to change your style a little bit and become a little bit more gentle with your fingering technique, which is always a good thing anyway.
Yeah.
You dirty
All right, so
people.
how do you do it?
Now, cons. Pros. Let's stick with the pros. Okay. You are essentially removing a certain amount of material from the instrument. And this means that your neck is going to vibrate more and transfer more vibrational energy from the strings to the body, and therefore make the pickups move and therefore change the tonality of the instrument.
Oh, no. I don't even want to go here, man. I guarantee you that you can scallop and not scallop a guitar and play some open strings and ABX test them, and I guarantee you're not going to be able to tell which one was scalloped and which one wasn't. I mean, oh man, we're getting into the tonewood stuff. No. I mean, there is less mass on that neck. It's not out of the realm of possibility that whatever the mass effect of a guitar, you're changing it because you're removing some mass, but I don't think it's going to make any difference in your tone. We'll see.
If it works the way I currently think it works. And obviously, if you're watching this, you know that tone. Grr. Now, it also means that your tuning stability might well be affected. The neck will become a little bit more flexible. And
yeah, I wonder about that because some of these necks are pretty thin, right? I always wonder about that. Like I'm not taking out a lot, and it's only the fretboard, which isn't that significant a part of the neck. I don't know if it's like 1/8 of the thickness or whatever, but it's some of it. So yeah, I always wonder, are you weakening it a little bit? But I don't know. I've never actually seen it get weaker. One time I scalloped all the way to the truss rod, though. That was bad.
Did we pay you?
What was that?
Did we pay you?
Not yet. Last time you were already sitting on some credit, so.
Fucking, now we got more credits. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Have a good night.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, I'm not sure. You might weaken it a little bit. I don't think it's going to hurt much.
And if you take too much off, or if the neck is particularly thin to start with, or not a very good wood, you might have tuning stability issues. But you will have a slightly louder, slightly warmer, slightly better sounding guitar. It will make a difference. Now, the con...
Oh, man, I know this is not what this is about, but that is a very bold claim. Is it really? Is it really going to make a big difference that you're going to hear?
Are everything I just said. It might have an issues with tuning stability, etc., etc., etc. Plus, it's not that easy to do well,
yes,
really.
Thank you.
The main issue
That's why
is
I'm
the
watching your
inlays.
video.
Now, you take your neck, get yourself a round rasp or file or a bastard cut file, something like that, or possibly a half round file, depending on how, or a rasp. You can see this beastie. A rat's tail rasp, flat on one side, round on the other.
Oh.
And it is as simple as putting your file in between the frets and going over in between them until you have removed the material. I don't go right up to a fret. I leave a ledge of 0.5 millimeter or 1 millimeter, depending on which fret we're at.
Yep.
And I've only done this 3 or 4 times. It's not something that I get asked to do all that often.
Yeah.
Now, you don't really need to take more than a millimeter and a half maybe, in order to remove the fretboard from the equation of your fingers.
Interesting claim. Let me get one of the guitars.
If you, especially up at the top frets, if you can push a string in between the frets 2 millimeters down, then you've got really strong fingers, basically. So just remove just enough so that it's going to be out of the equation. Don't take too much off.
I'll rewind that. I'm going to check where I am on mine. I'm taking a relief gauge card, and I'm taking a look at just how far down I've scalloped mine. Yeah, it looks like maybe 1.5 millimeters. It's not that much. I mean, to me, I just scallop it until your finger can't feel the wood. That's how deep I go. Let me rewind this a little bit.
Going to be out really strong fingers, basically. 2 millimeters down. If you can push a string in between the frets 2 millimeters down, then you've got really strong fingers, basically. So just remove just enough so that it's going to be out of the equation. Don't take too much off. And then it's just sandpaper. It really is very, very simple. wrap the sandpaper around your finger or a little dowel or something like that, and go through the grits, 180, 240, 320, and sand it down, put a bit of oil. Now the problem is, for example, this neck has these trapezoidal abalone inlays.
Yeah, man,
Something
your
I'm
inlays
working
get
on at the
fried usually.
moment. And if I removed 1.5 millimeters of material from this fretboard, I would go straight through the millimeter thick abalone. Actually, it's probably 0.75 of a millimeter. And that would ruin the neck. If you've got standard dot inlays, what the heck, they might actually be 2 or 3 millimeters deep anyway. If not, you can go to any number of luthier supply houses and just replace them, drill a hole, put a new inlay in, and you're sorted.
Is that how you guys do it? You just
Or
drill
remove
a,
them
you drill a
entirely.
hole?
That's the only real caveat. It's pretty basic. So, thank you very much for watching. If you have a question for the show, please don't forget to ask in the places I mentioned earlier. Check out crimsonguitars.com. Go and spend all of your money in our shop because
I was hoping to see more
because
of
we make awesome guitar building tools. And
I don't know how
all
he
that
did
jazz. And in fact, pick up surrounds and control. Welcome to Crimson Guitars. Welcome.
Maybe he does more. Hold on. How do you search? Search in his channel. Search. Scallop. Scallop fretboards, a bonus or a barrier. Ah, well, maybe this is more for me. Okay.
Welcome to Crimson Guitars and welcome to podcast 157. I'm Ben Crow and
Christopher Owen.
we are luthiers at Crimson Guitars and we're here to help. Now, to start off with a little bit of news, we're trying out various different formats, positions of cameras and rooms. We're going to start doing the podcast in here because it's... So anyway, we're going to be experimenting. I'm also trying to sit on an amp. First of all, news. A long week being integrated, integral to the main. All in all, it's looking much to. This was. She's talking about Easter eggs. Wonderful deal. She's hiding out on some eggs. So, and unless everything crashes and dies. A lot of these guitars, the new guitars, the production models, are now on there. There's various instruments.
They're really nice.
We had a meeting yesterday with a bunch of various guitar shops actually, and request on podcast on YouTube. And he says, "What is your opinion on scalloped fretboards?"
Yay!
We haven't discussed this in advance. I'm going to see how far we differ or not. What is your opinion on scalloped fretboards, sir?
I think with a proper fret job and proper guitar playing technique, they're somewhat useless, personally.
Wow. Let me rewind that.
I think with a proper fret job and proper guitar playing technique, they're somewhat useless, personally.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what kind of fret job you can get where it's going to be that much higher, but I guess proper playing technique just means it's harder to bend or something, and that's proper. I don't know. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
If you're hitting fretboard while you're playing strings, either your frets are too low, which is a problem, and that needs to be remedied with a refret, or you're pressing down far too hard on the strings, and you're probably causing issues with intonation and all sorts of other things, busting through strings quickly and wearing.
No, if you even if you're running jumbo frets, in fact, I got a brand new 5-string Fender bass here. If I put my finger, unless I'm very, very careful, and I do hammer on people to really use their fingertips and stuff, but I am touching the wood. I really am. If I go to bend, I'm definitely touching the wood. I guess maybe I don't have proper playing technique, but I never really thought of it that way. But I guess if you put like super high frets on, maybe like 3 millimeter high frets or something.
Frets far faster than you need to, so.
Some people play like that.
It's true, and I think we should have a long talk with them. Sit them down
And burn them. No, I'm very, very heavy-handed, apparently, according to Charlie, his apprentice. He's your apprentice, I blame you for everything he says. I'm particularly heavy-handed, and frankly, whenever I try and touch anything with scalloped frets, it is even worse than my normal playing, and that's saying quite something. Now, okay, just to go back to your thing, you were talking about if somebody's actually touching the fretboard, their frets are too low. Some people like really low, small frets. I've got some on one of these. And that's when you can feel the difference between, for example, ebony and rosewood, or ebony and Wenge, or cocoa or whatever. And that does have a noticeable effect on the playing and the playing style. Surely, if we like to play on, if you're a person who likes low frets and an ebony fretboard with the closed pores and all that, surely a scalloped fretboard is a good thing.
But if you like low frets and an ebony fretboard, that's because you like the low impact of the feel of those frets while you're playing.
Yeah, but there's even less impact if you don't have scallops.
Except now, along the side of it, you have...
Or am I totally wrong?
You have this...
Yeah, you've got the feel
these
of that,
pointed patterns, and that's you will feel that when you play a scalloped fretboard.
That's actually something you
no,
don't
no, you
normally
won't.
think about,
No,
the
you
edge
won't.
the fretboard does.
No, you won't. Let me grab one of my scallop guitars here. Yeah, maybe I have no intention of using my webcam for any of these, but no, you're not going to feel the scallops. You're going to feel the frets. If you want to talk about improper playing technique, you would have to really be doing some crazy stuff to feel the scallops while you're sliding. Yeah, maybe next time I'll have my webcam on. I could actually show this.
It does feel massively.
Nobody wants to see my ugly face.
Now, you haven't talked about this. There's one other good thing, and that is that with less mass in the neck, is it good or is it bad?
No. We're going to go tone wood.
I have heard guitar builders who I seriously respect say that you have to have a neck that does not move, is totally solid, 30mm carbon fibre stiffening rods through the middle, and that's that. McPherson guitars, for example. And I played one of their carbon fibre things the other day. It's superb. And he says, okay, you can't have any movement or give in the neck, because that then focuses all the sound on the body of the instrument, and then that vibrates.
I don't want any give on the neck, because I don't want. I really like the idea of a tension-free neck. Like you have rods in there that are so thick that all they do is shape the neck, that the strings have no effect. I don't care if you put giant bass strings on your guitar, like it can't bow your neck any further. That's how I would like a neck. Because one of the things I do is that I do feel the necks sometimes move when you're bending them, like you can feel them bowing more from the pressure. I would love to have a neck that doesn't care, It's almost like having a floating bridge versus a fixed bridge,
Other people say the exact opposite. You've got your neck moves, your neck vibrates, and if you put your ear to the back of your neck while you're playing, you can hear that does have a massive effect on the tone.
Yeah, that's your acoustic tone, not your electric tone. Oh boy, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to get in that.
I have a Martin, an old Martin that's coming in for repair, where we think the glue joint has failed on the neck.
Yeah, no, it's sounding dead.
To the point that the owner has literally been brought to tears, because this beautiful, beautiful guitar is not the same guitar it was. And the neck emphatically fed how that sounded and played and all of that. So anyway, back to our point, the scalloped frets, that removes mass. It adds a little bit more movement. And when I've done it on instruments, there is a very noticeable difference in the tone of the guitar. In my opinion, an improvement. It becomes more open, more characterful.
This is really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard a difference in tone.
Tuning stability sucks. Choose your own expletive. We're PG rated. So yeah, not only the playing, the actual, you've taken mass away, so the neck will move a little bit more, kind of like the Perspex bass behind you there. So you basically think they're useless?
I don't like them personally. If you do have a heavy playing style, they can be nice, but I think it would be more prudent to try different frets or a different playing style first before.
Or even different strings. Those equal tension strings made a huge difference to the way the whole instrument feels. I really, really love that guitar, and you know, we've made a fair few of those now, and that one is just special, and I think it's just because I put these equal tension strings on it from D'Addario. How about when you've got frets scalloped just on the last 6 or 8 frets?
Another one of those things at that point in the fretboard,
Makes
the
it less
spacing,
difference.
yeah, it's so narrow. You
No.
really have to be pressing hard.
No,
down.
no,
Yeah,
no,
to
no,
actually
no,
hit.
no, 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 no. All right, I am just about to stick a webcam up here. Oh, you know what? I got my overhead. Let's see if I can get my overhead webcam working, because that one's going to be the one that's going to matter for this anyway. Oh, man, you really triggered the hell out of me here, haven't you? Where is it? Control room. Which one is that? Okay. So, yeah, let's pull out this carbon. So, I'm gonna put, let's see if hopefully we can see this. So this is the 24th fret. So this one should be worst of all, right? Look at that. I don't know if you can see, but had this not been scalloped, I can still touch that wood. Look where my finger is. Oh man, this is really hard to do. But this is the skinniest one of all, and it still makes a difference. This guy is dead nuts wrong about scalloping the last few frets. So, you know, I don't know about this this channel here. Or maybe it's just this guy's a meathead. But no, he's... He is dead nuts wrong on that. Wrong. Dr. Cox, the wrong song, wrong.
Hit fretboard. There are people that do, and there are people that play incredibly well and do this. You've got, you know, Yngwie sorts of players, and
Yeah, but that's further down the fretboard where it would make a difference. I honestly think that it would make zero difference whatsoever. You can't in between the top frets.
You're wrong. You are wrong. You are so wrong. You couldn't be more wrong. I could pull out my 29-inch scale guitar, and then you'd be extra duper wrong. But even at the 24 3/4 scale guitars with 24 frets, the 24th fret, it still makes a very big difference to touching the wood or not.
You're not going to do it.
You're wrong.
I think it's an affectation, basically.
Then you're wrong.
So the consensus is, it can improve the sound of your guitar. It can ruin the intonation, just because you have to be so gentle when you're playing a guitar with scalloped frets.
there's no stop. You have the ability to bend your note completely out of pitch just with playing tension.
And that's a good thing and a bad thing. Some people like the fact that you can do that.
Yeah.
And it's part of their style. But I'm not a particularly good guitarist. Hell, I'm not even a guitarist. I'm a luthier. But yeah, I'm still playing the same licks that I was playing when I was 17 and learning. All right, I don't have to think about those. When I'm playing on a scalloped instrument, you have to think about your fingers all the time. There's, am I in tune? Am I in tune? Am I in tune? Am I in tune? That gets boring very, very quickly.
Well, you learn how to play it.
So, well, basically, we're in agreement, yeah, pretty much. There are people who can make it work. There are people who can make the Fernandez Sustainer work. There are people who can use a Bixby for anything other than the sexiness of how it looks. But our job is, would you not agree, to make life easier for a musician? Why?
Yeah, remove as many barriers between them and creation as possible.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much for watching. Please do not forget to check out the new site on Friday.
So you know what, I would, if you're a scallop player, or honestly, I'm kind of scared by what these guys think. I don't know that I would take them my guitar. I just wanted to see how the pros actually did the scalloping, but